There we go. Okay, so I wanted to expand on the phonics, which is, again, something that KT talks about because he explains that in the education system, they stopped focusing on this as a method to dumb people down, to make people less capable of comprehension. So this is what we call the International Phonetic Alphabet, or IPA. Right there. International Phonetic, like phonics, phonetic alphabet. But the full alphabet is more than this chart. This is only the phonemic symbols of English. So there are other sounds that are not in the English language that are in the complete International Phonetic Alphabet. And so we know that there are lots of sounds that exist that don't exist in English. Right? So those are in the bigger chart. So this is focusing on the symbols that are for the English language. And I want to take notice that we have 5 vowels in English: A, E, I, O, U. When we write, we have 5 vowels. But when we speak, we have 6, 12, 18, 20 sounds that are a combination of those letters or about where those letters are in the word and what's beside them. So phonics is connecting, being able to understand that what we write affects what we say. Sorry. Here in Vancouver, it's 8 o'clock in the morning, so making some tea for morning boys. Okay, so this is especially helpful for the vowels. With the consonants, there aren't as many extra that we write, but we do see there's this one that looks like a T and a long S, and a D and a 3, and then there's the circle here with the middle line and the circle with the X, and here the long S and the 3. So as well as the long N. And so those are the extra consonant sounds. So I wanted to go over those sounds so everybody can hear what they individually sound like. That way, in future videos, you'll know what I'm talking about when I make a reference to a sound. Okay, 1 second. Okay. So what's helpful is they give English words as a reference, so you can think about it. But even that is not always clear because there are words that are similar, like bed and bid, and you might not be saying it correctly, and they just, to you, they're making the same sound. So,
Yeah, exactly.
so let's go over those sounds. Okay. So starting with the vowels, I'm just going to check off what we're doing here. So, okay, so first sound is the long E sound. And it is long because you have movement in your mouth when you make the sound. Is opening. E. And your mouth is going back. Okay, this is called articulation. It means what part of your mouth and where are you using to make the sound. So E is the long E sound. Then we have the short sound. So it, 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 it. This is a short I sound. It, it, it.
Shit.
Notice there's no movement and my mouth is only open a little. It, 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 it.
Yeah.
Like ship, 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 ship,
Shit.
ship. The next sound is made, you see it with an OU or an OO in writing. And it's the uh sound. Imagine somebody, you have a burp. Sorry, excuse me. Okay. uh, like book. We have book club. Good book. Okay.
Good.
Uh, uh.
Mm, good.
Then we have, this is tricky because also, when writing, different sound. This is the ooh
Ooh.
sound. Ooh. The ooh sound like shoot or school or swimming pool. Ooh sound.
Mm-hmm.
When you see
Like spoon.
the dot dot, it
Yeah.
means it's long. It's like it's a longer sound, right? Ooh, ooh. What were you going to say, Maddie? Like spoon?
Like spoon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Spoon.
hmm Exactly. Okay. I'm going to go down to do the monophthongs first. It means one sound. Okay. Next, we have the short E sound. Eh, 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 eh. Like the other one up here, the mouth doesn't move, but it's open a little more here. Eh, 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 eh. It's different from it, 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 it. Here is eh, 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 eh.
Mhm.
Okay.
Bed.
Bed. Bed
Bed.
or pet, right? If you have
Mm,
a
pet.
family pet, okay. Eh, 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 eh. Then we have the, we call this the schwa. I'm going to write that word actually. It's an unusual word. Schwa. And this is a reduced sound. So we're going to see this when I share another sheet about how we change words in informal language or in general spoken language. So this is a reduced sound, okay, and it's teacher, teacher. But in other
Mhm.
words, here they're using it as the example, but it's as we don't really hear the sound. But a better example would be for the word, sorry, text, um, table, the O at the end. We don't hear the E, we just hear the L. So it's, we would write this schwa L, okay? Or when we actually, oops, okay, I actually can't write a schwa. Um, I don't have that keyboard. I know, I can use my pen. Okay, here. So if I were writing the word today, I would write it like this. T. Oh my God, I don't have a mouse right now, so I'm using. Okay, so the word today would be written like this because we don't say
Mm,
today, we just say today.
t-
Mhm.
today. Yeah.
Today, today, tomorrow, tonight. So this to when we write it actually is pronounced t. So it is the reduced vowel, the schwa. Okay,
Mhm.
so this is when we have reduced sounds. We reduce them in unstressed syllables. So it's not today, it's day is the strong syllable. So we reduce it today. So that's what the schwa here is. It's a reduced sound. Okay, next we have
Mm,
sound. And this is written in three ways, as I mentioned in the other video. IR, ER, UR all have the
mm,
same sound. Three spellings, same sound. Wonderful English.
mhm.
Okay, so bird or first or fur coat or let's see what else, um, skirt. What an E? I can't think of an ER in the moment in a word, in the beginning of a word.
Mm, future.
Turkey.
Future.
Future. Yep. The second syllable perks, that's an okay, the next one is the or sound. Notice that there's movement because you're making the O and then you need to move for the R. Or, or. Same for
or
yeah, the were already there because the is already at the front of your mouth. So doesn't have that movement. But to make the O sound, O, you have to move to make the R. Or,
mhm,
or. This
mhm,
is a common error in people speaking from other languages when the R is at the end of a word, like, oh, they confuse this. No, okay, we're gonna skip that. I'm not gonna bring in things that are confusing. So, or, okay, or. Next is the short, what we call the short A sound. Ah. Your mouth is open much more. Think about when you go to the dentist and the dentist said, say ah, ah,
mhm,
ah, big mouth. To contrast between here, eh, ah, eh, ah. So the
mhm.
mouth is much more open. The next one is in the short U sound. Uh, 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 like uh-oh, or up, or sun, the sun, or let's have fun. Okay, fun, fun, fun. Okay, short sound. Okay. Next, the R controlled A. Okay, so we have ah, but then the R. So we need to close it. R, R. This is where we have the pirate sound. R.
Mm,
R. R. Looks like you're about to bite something. R.
yeah.
Then we have the short O sound. On, on, like opera.
Opera.
Oh.
Also.
We do it low pitch. Oh, on. Okay, so those are the short, that's the short O sound. Okay, so we have when I'm talking about the short sounds, let's make a scene here. The short sounds would be short 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 ah, and short U, uh. Those are the short vowel sounds. So the names A, E, I, O, U, short sounds I, ah. Sorry, ah. Okay. A, E, I, O, U. Okay. The diphthongs mean two sounds together. Two sounds together. So here we have e, ear.
Mhm,
So it sounds like we're making many people confused and think two syllables, but it's not it's a continuation. Ear. So that is here or ear or year. What year is it? Ear, ear. So it's a
mhm.
smooth continuation. Then we have the long A sound. So wait, A. It's two sounds because and E together. A together.
Mhm.
Then we have a combination or tourist. Uh, uh, We have a and a short schwa sound. So ur. Then oi. Very clear difference. Oi. Oi. Boy, boy, toy, etc.
Mhm.
Then we have long O sound. O makes a circle.
Oh,
Looks like the shape. O. Then air. Air. So air, air. long I sound. I movement. I and long O sound. O. O. Okay. Notice that it opens back up. So it starts small and opens back up. O.
mm,
O.
oh,
O. Okay, so those are all the vowels of English. Okay. Next, we have the consonant sounds. Consonant sounds, okay. One thing that connects all the vowels is that there's no use of the lips or the teeth. There's no touching of the tongue.
mm,
It's all open. It's about how open and where in your mouth is your tongue. Your tongue is down, but your tongue is kind of in the middle. So there's no
mm,
touching. It's about how open your mouth is and where's your tongue. The consonants, on the other hand, the consonants use your lips, they use the tongue to touch, and they use their teeth, and that's where you get the sounds. And with the consonants, we have something called minimal pairs. It means this pair has a minimal difference, a little mini difference. And usually that difference is whether there is air or there is vibration. So we're going to do this with the minimal pairs. Okay. So first minimal pair is these two letters. So it's the minimal pairs where people from different languages often have difficulty distinguishing them. Which one is it? Okay. Because they're produced in the same place. Give
mhm.
me 1 second to grab my tea. Not a coffee drinker. Which generally it's tea in the morning. Okay. So P and B. P and B require both lips to be closed. The difference is how tightly they are closed. So with a P, they're only closed gently. And when you say it, you should feel air if you have your hand
Mhm.
here. I encourage you to try. See if you can feel air here.
Yeah,
Okay. With the
yeah,
B,
there is the air. Yeah.
great, great. Then you're saying it correctly. The B now requires you to be more firm. It's like pressing more tightly.
But,
And when you release it, you're going to feel vibration here, like a vibration
mm,
here. Okay. So,
mm,
B,
but,
B, B.
but,
So it's like there's much more of an explosion. B, B, B.
but, but,
Very good. This is all really important because it's used for sounding out words. Okay. B, B. Okay. So we have
mhm,
B, B, B. So P and boat. But if we put them together as a minimal pair, we might have the word, we could have the words pat, like a pat on the back, and bat,
mhm,
the flying creature. So they are exactly the same, at, right? Saying the rest of the word is the same. The only difference is these two letters. So we have
mhm,
pat and bat. Okay, harder.
mhm,
So that's a minimal pair. So it's in words and syllables like this that people often get confused. Okay. So our next minimal pair is the T and the D. Okay. So here we have the same difference. So the first one is the air, t, t, Notice it's not ta, ta, ta. That's the vowel, and that's the consonant and a vowel. Okay, so we're not adding in a vowel. T, 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 t. You can feel the air. It's gentle. There's no vibration here. T, 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 t. There's no vibration. With the D, same thing. So with these letters, your tongue is touching the top of your mouth behind your teeth, up there. T, 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 t. So you don't see your tongue because it's up there. So now imagine you're pushing a little harder. D, d, d,
D,
d. So again, you feel vibration and it's more of a tight release. D,
D,
d, d.
D.
So
Yeah.
you've stopped the air and then you release it. D, d.
Mm-hmm.
So here, a minimal pair would be the words tip and dip. Tip your waiter in North America, okay, and take a dip in the pool. Okay, tip and dip. Tip, 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 tip. Dip,
Tip,
dip, 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 dip,
dip,
dip,
dip, tip.
dip. Okay,
Yeah.
we also can have minimal pairs with something at the end of the word. So if you have the word pat and the word pad, pat, pad. This is also interesting because some languages don't distinguish them. Okay, this is very common in Dutch. The word ends in D, but when they're pronouncing it, it sounds more like a T, which is fine for
Mm-hmm.
me because I know this. But when they're speaking to other people that aren't aware of this, then they might be confused. Like
Mm-hmm.
got and God. Okay, so other minimal pairs. I'm just going to delete those, erase. Go clear our space again.
Got and got. Pat and pat.
Yes, good. Pat, had, got, God.
Got.
Okay, our next pair is here. So here we have the voiceless, only the air, ch, 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 like cheese or church or watch. Ch, 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 ch. Then we have the vibration. J.
J,
So again,
j,
this is where in English we
j,
have the letter J. Okay, J, J. So
j.
again, we stop the
Mm-hmm.
air and
J,
explode it out. J.
j,
That's why we have the vibration because we've stopped our airflow. Now we're going to release it. J, J, ch, ch,
j,
j, j. Mm.
ch.
So this could be example. Um, okay, an example of a minimal pair here would be cheap. Wow, that's so cheap. And Jeep. I'm going to buy a Jeep. Oh,
Jeep.
the Jeep that I bought was so cheap. Cheap and Jeep. Okay.
Yeah.
Next, the K and the G.
K, 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 k. Yeah.
G, g, g,
G,
g.
g, g. Yeah.
Mhm. So an example here could be the name, Kate, and outside your door you have a gate. So Kate came in the gate. G. Kate, gate,
Kate, gate. Yeah.
gate. Okay, so
Kate,
those
gate.
Kate, gate. Kate came in the gate, right? Okay. Oh, there's another one that's common. Ah, commonly confused. Also, when people say them. These actually have different vowels and different final sounds, but many people will say dock, duck, and wait, duck or dog? Duck, dog, duck. Okay, duck, duck. duck, 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 and dog,
Yeah.
dog,
Mm.
dog. But these words
Duck.
people often confuse in pronunciation. Especially
Duck.
since they're both animals, sometimes it can be confusing which one they mean because we're just talking about animals. It could be either one sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So our next pair, the F and the V. Okay. And these are continuants. We call fricatives. There's friction, so it continues. The other ones you stopped, even though there's air, you still very little bit of stop. But these ones continue as long as your breath can continue. So the F, you should have lots of air. Fly,
Fly. Mm-hmm.
fly. The V, there isn't the air. There's a lot of vibration.
Mm.
Teeth are
Mm.
touching
Mm.
your lower lip. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
release.
Mm. Mm.
You're making the
Video.
sound here, so there isn't air coming here.
Mm.
Video,
Mm. Video.
video, or very good.
Mm.
Very good. Okay, this is a tricky one. The V is a tricky one for Spanish speakers. Many times they will say very good. Actually, Koreans do this too. Actually, there's no V in Korean, so they do this too. Very good, very good. Or, I am going to Vancouver. Okay, very good.
Mm.
Vancouver. And this is something you often won't get immediately because you have to train your mouth. When it's not a sound that's used in your language, you have to literally train your mouth. It's like training a muscle at the gym. You have to train your mouth to be able to make the sound. So it's like you have to go from unconscious incompetence to unconscious competence, right? That whole path.
Mhm.
So at first you're like, oh, I'm singing Vancouver, Vancouver. No. You might have to be
Mhm.
consciously confident, like Vancouver, and really think about it. Then you become consciously competent, right? Okay, so we're gonna
Mhm.
move to the level of unconscious competence where your mouth has been trained. You can do it without thinking about it. So,
Mhm.
okay. Our next pair, they are both written with the same letters in English. They are both the TH, but the TH has two different sounds. Okay, I'm just gonna move my T because actually it gets bitter if it's sitting too long. Here we go. Okay, it's a traditional tea from China. One of my students brought me. But I haven't used it very often. I forgot you really can only leave it for a few minutes. Otherwise, it's a little bit bitter. Mm. Okay, so the TH. Sometimes that gets your jaw a little tired because you need to use movement here. But in both of them, if you don't have your tongue out, if the other person cannot see your tongue, you are not making the sound. What happens when you don't use your tongue and stick it out? If you don't stick it out, you're making an S, like I sink. Mhm. Or this, making a Z if it's the hard one. So you need to stick your tongue out. For the first one, the soft one, your tongue is between your teeth, but not so tightly. So the air can still pass between your upper teeth and your tongue. Like think, think,
think,
or one, two, three, three, okay,
three, three,
three. So it starts when it's at the beginning of the word, okay, or the syllable, with your tongue out, and then you bring it back in to make the vowel sound. Think, think, or
think,
thought,
thought,
thought, or
mm,
three, three.
three,
Good.
three.
So you
Yeah,
don't use your tongue for the whole word, right? Right. Okay. Just for that part, right? And you bring it in. Think, thought,
think,
three,
thought. Yeah,
three.
three,
Okay.
three.
So the hard sound, now you're pressing more. We're not having that air. This, there, over there. Your
There,
mother, brother, father.
mother. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it
The,
still starts in the same way with your tongue out. Mm, but now we have the vibration instead of the air.
the,
This
the
mother.
mother.
Mm, what's another in the middle? Oh, I should have made a list in advance. Thinking, where's another TH in the middle of the word? It's also a hard sound. Ah, I can't think. Okay, those are enough examples anyway. So again, the
Okay.
difference, think or this. All right, our next pair is our S and our Z sound. These again, like F and V, they will continue as long as your breath can. So your tongue is just behind your teeth.
Mhm. You have a noise cancellation.
Oh no! Okay, thank you for noting that. Oh, let me
Yeah.
change that. Uh, good point. Okay, let me see. Nose constellation. I don't know how to turn it off, so we'll put it on. Um, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for pointing that out. I totally wasn't thinking about that. Okay, the other sounds were fairly clear. You could hear.
Um,
Oh no! Okay, for the P and
that's
the B, like for the other ones, those should be okay. Like the ch and the j, you could hear okay earlier.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I
yeah.
think it's just the continuance then. Then let me just do one more time. The let's do the F and the V versus
Mm,
okay, and versus now versus the Z. No air
yeah.
vibration. Okay, so C versus zoo, or the minimal pair. The name Sue, like our wonderful Sue Adams. Okay, Sue, Sue versus zoo,
Zoo,
zoo, Sue, zoo.
zoo.
This is also important in the end of words when we have plural form of nouns. For example, when we have a plate, like a plate that you eat with, it has an S sound, plates. But if we have the word room,
Plates.
for example,
Rooms.
rooms,
Mm,
and that is because the sound before them is voiceless, right? The
mm-hmm.
T sound, right, doesn't have the vibration. So we have this sound, no vibration. Right? Plate.
Mm.
but the M
Mhm.
has a vibration,
Mm,
so this will
mm,
sound like a Z. Z, rooms.
rooms,
Okay. So which
play,
one it is depends on what is the final sound before it. Okay, so back to our pairs. Okay, our next pair, similar to the one up here. Okay, okay. Shh. Like you're telling
sh,
somebody to be quiet. Or hear the word shall, or a common word in English, should. Okay,
should,
should,
shallow,
shall, should, she, right? He and she. Okay.
yeah,
Now this sound, same, but with a vibration. So
z,
sh, no vibration.
z, z,
Vibration.
z, yeah, z,
This is
z,
television.
vision,
Vision.
yeah,
Okay, or another word would be measure. How much is it? Oh, let's measure. Okay, measure. Okay.
mhm,
Okay. So that is it for our minimal pairs. Okay. Our final sounds aren't minimal pairs. Okay. These two, though, do have something, these three have something in common. What they have in common is that they're called nasals. They are used with your nose. Okay. There's a lot of vibration that comes in your nose. Right when you make this sound, is using your nose. So when somebody is sounding, we say nasally. So they sound like this. Okay, so the three sounds. The first one, both lips are closed. This is a common error between when your lips are open or your lips are closed. Okay, and it's
mm,
not as confused when the words are at the beginning of the word. Sorry, when the sound is at the beginning of the word, but this is often confused when it's at the end of a word and people forget to close their lips, or they close them when they shouldn't because it's an N. Okay, that would be the difference, for example, between some, like let's have some tea, or sun,
sun,
look at the sun. Okay, so
sun,
this is often happens if people confuse closed or not closed. What sound are you making at the end of a word? So the word, the letters, it's not ma ma ma. Again, we're not putting a vowel. The individual sound is mm, or when
mm,
something is delicious.
mm,
So
mm,
good.
mm, yeah,
Mm. The N sound. Okay.
mm,
Mouth is open. Your tongue
mm,
is in the middle of your upper part of your mouth. Mm.
mm, mm,
Like we make this like when somebody goes no 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 and then no 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 no
no, no,
no
no,
and no 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 no. Okay. Mm.
mm,
Okay. The last one is using the the throat. Okay. This is almost like a vowel sound, but we use it like a consonant English. So it is the sound, like sing. This is something where we have mm, confusion because we see a G. We see a G when we read it in
mm,
English. So many people will pronounce this with a G. They'll say sing, okay? But we don't actually say the G. The NG, okay, actually just makes a sound that has no touch. It's in your throat. Sing, sing a song. Okay.
mm,
Mm. Another example,
mm,
ping pong, the game. Ding, 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 ding. Okay, ping
mm,
pong. So when we have the NG, we don't actually say the G. It is a sound that is made in your throat by the vibration. Sing a song, play ping pong. Okay, now this has again no touching. Nothing is touching in this one. This is like a Spanish J sound. Okay, only air and not ha. Again, no vowel, just the air. Like a dog that is breathing really hard. Okay, hat. Like you're breathing a sigh of relief. Hat.
Hat,
Mhm.
hat,
He, 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 he. Now He, he.
he, he,
Or
he,
hi, like high five. Hi. Okay,
yeah,
the air moves to the vowel. Okay. Hi. Okay, no touching, no sound except the air. All right, these four also go into a category together. They are called glides. Okay, again, there's no touching of the tongue. It's about the placement of the, oh, that's a lie. Okay, but it is all about the tongue. Sorry, no touching of the lips, no touching of the teeth, but the tongue is used. So the R and the L are often confused by Asian speakers who don't have this in their language. The difference between R and L is the tongue. With the L, you are
mm,
touching. You are touching the top of your mouth with your tongue.
mm,
And you're going to see underneath your tongue.
mm, mm,
This is the L
mm,
sound. When it's at the
mm,
beginning of the word, it's a little
mm,
bit softer. Then you release it to make whatever the vowel is, like lion
mm,
or
lion,
love.
loud,
So
yeah,
the actual L sound is when the tongue is touching the top of your mouth.
mm, la,
What sound comes after depends on the vowel. Live, love, like, lake. Okay, so the L itself doesn't have any of those sounds. The sound of the vowel comes after you release the L. So when we have
mm,
the R now, the tongue does not touch. The tongue is in the middle of your mouth. And your lips make a shape, almost like a rectangle. So
mm,
here we have a lot of minimal pairs, like these two words. Light, light,
light,
and right.
right,
Right. Notice
right,
the shape of the mouth. It's more circular.
l, l,
Light
l, light,
and a rectangle.
right,
Right. Right.
right,
Right. So there is touching
right,
and it's a circle. Light. There's no touching and it's a rectangle. Right. Right. Another minimal pair, I'm going to do a couple because this is very common. It would be the color red and the past tense of lead. Lead them, led, led. Okay, so we have red, red, the color red, or lead, lead, lead,
l,
lead, lead.
red, lead,
Mhm.
lead, mm,
An example, when you have another letter with it as well, you can have Hmm. For example, fright, meaning somebody is scared. You got a fright. Okay. Or flight, like you're taking a plane, right? So we make the initial sound first. In this case, it's an F. Maybe it's a D, or actually D. Yeah, maybe it could be a D. No, wouldn't be. Could be, what else? S. No, SR, no. What else? B. Could be a B. In this case, we have an F, so we make the first sound first. Then we move into the letter. So, right, right,
Right.
right. And the second one,
Right.
light,
Light.
light, light,
Light.
light. Okay, so you
Mm,
go from one to the next. Right. That one's easier because they're close to each other. Right, right, and light,
right.
light, light, light.
Light.
Okay, one more with them at the end of a word. Okay, at the end of the word, we could have the word. Let's do something else. Here's a good. Ah, why am I doing always F? Let's go with. Yeah, okay, there we go. So tear is like when you cry, you have a tear, and teal is a color. It's a variation of kind of like this teal color. Okay.
Mm,
So teal. Oh, sorry. First one R. Tear. Tear.
Tear.
Notice
Tear.
that wherever it is, E is back. I need to go forward for the R. Tear. But the difference now is very
Tear.
clear because with the L, I need to be back. Teal.
Teal.
Oh. Tear. Teal. So an R at the end of the word, you need to go forward. L at the end of the word, you go back. Okay. So again, tear, teal.
Teal.
Okay. I could do an entire
Teal.
class on just R and L, but we're going to move on and do the final letters. Okay. So we have W and we have the J. Now, in the phonetic alphabet, it is a J, but in English, it is the Y sound. Okay, so W, w, w.
W.
You need to start small and open it up with a bit of an air
W.
explosion. W, w, w,
W.
like what?
W.
All the question words, not all the question words, sorry. What, where, why?
W.
What, where, why? Another example, water, water. If you do not start with a
W.
small little tiny mouth, then you're not making a W sound. You could say, might be what? Oh, German, what? Okay, German W is more like an English V. So we need to have a small little mouth. Wha, 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 wha. What, water, why, where. And the last one, y, y. There's no touching, but the tongue is tight. It's near the bottom of your mouth and tense. Yes, yesterday,
Y.
yo-yo,
Y.
yellow. Mm. You can see my tongue. It's tight. It's not
Y.
touching anywhere in my mouth, but it's very tight. Yes, yesterday,
Y.
yellow,
Yeah.
yo-yo. Okay. Hi. And that is all the sounds of English. That's all of them. So in pronunciation classes, you can spend like a whole time just on looking at the different pairs in similar words. I can spend a whole day just on differentiating, showing the difference between short vowels, yeah, or hearing the difference between bed and bad, for example. Many will confuse how to say the difference between these two words. Bed, bad. Could spend a whole class on those. And if you have particular issues with any of these sounds, let me know and I can give more examples and a little more attention to the particular sound. Now you have a basis for what would be sounding out the words. Of course, this doesn't qualify if we have two vowel combinations written, like I talked about in the last video, like how um, uh, like EA makes a sound E, read a book, right? So this doesn't always work when we're looking at English spelling, but it is very, very helpful nonetheless. Okay,
Mhm.
I'm gonna stop. Actually, I'm going to introduce the page for you. I'm going to put this in the group. Oh,
Mhm. I have a question.
sure.
What's the difference of schwa and uh, I means ship, ship
Which
and
two?
schwa,
The schwa and
schwa and upper.
this one? Okay,
Yeah.
so let me give you an example of words written with it. Okay, so um, thinking of a longer word with I. Okay, here's a word where we have a short I in it. Stipulate. And because this syllable is stressed. Oh, why didn't that work? Oh no. Okay. There we go. Okay, this is the first syllable. Sti. That is the stressed syllable. So it will have this sound. Stipulate.
St-
Stipulate. But
Stipulate.
in the word,
Stipulate.
in this word, okay, now we have both the I sound and the schwa sound. So we have two I's. In this word, which one do you think is the schwa?
Sure.
Say the word.
Medicine.
Say the word.
Medicine.
Which one do you think is the schwa?
Medicine.
So is it?
Second one?
You're correct. Okay,
Yeah.
because this is not the stressed syllable, right? This is the
Mhm.
stressed syllable. We hear meh. Okay, meh.
Medicine.
This sin.
Mm,
So we hear these two
medicine.
syllables. This one gets reduced. So we don't hear medicine. It's not medicine. It's medicine. Meta. Da, 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 da. Right? So it's reduced.
Mhm,
Medicine. Okay. So we don't hear that sound. Me. We don't say medicine or
mhm.
medicine. They're not all the same. So this sound is reduced. It becomes the schwa. Medicine.
Uh, can you write the phonemic of
The
that?
transcription? Sure. Okay. So this would be. Now this is tricky because this actually shows the short E like this, but in another phonemic chart, you will actually see it like this. It's similar to this, but with the dot dot. So I should have pointed that out earlier. In some phonemic translations, they will use this. It looks like a backwards three to describe the short E sound. So here, because the chart is showing
Mhm,
this, I'll do it this way. So me, d, mid, then
mhm.
sounds like an S, right? Mid, Sin, right? And we don't hear the E, so we don't write it in the phonetic transcription.
Medicine.
So medicine,
Medicine. Yeah.
medicine. Okay. So it
Mm-hmm.
often happens when it is not the stressed syllable. Okay. So here we don't hear this. It's not medicine. It's meta, 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 meta. Medicine.
Medicine.
Yeah. Okay. Great question. Those.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So something that I'm going to do in a future one. I'm going to put this in the group and you can have a look at it
Mm-hmm.
and then we can go over the pronunciation in a future session. So this is informal English. These are commonly reduced forms of standard English words. Like because many people say, I don't want to go to the party because it sounds boring. Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're learning English, often you learn textbook English in the beginning. So we learn what the actual words are said, how they are formally and said, but not how they are commonly and normally said. So in a presentation, you would never say, cause I didn't want to go, cause it was boring. You would never do that in a formal presentation. But in speaking, you will often hear this from native speakers in an informal situation. So I'm going to put this in the group and then we'll talk about it in the future. And that's all for today because my computer is about to die because my battery is done.